Hello everybody, and I am back, but today we are going to make the Lavagirl hip armor. So I am actually starting out with a pattern that I purchased off of Cami Cosplay's website, which I will link down below. Her products are $4.99 a piece, and then I actually resized them down to my hip level. So you will go ahead and resize. I took off about half an inch, probably half an inch to a little bit more on each, and then left the sides with the seams by themselves, which are the little connectors, that's what I mean. Afterwards I went ahead and connected them together and just verified that they do properly fit after cutting off that excess that I marked off. Once I did that, you will see I'm going to go ahead and tape everything together just to make sure that it is lined up properly and make sure that all of the little tabs match up. As you can see, so far it looks like they do, just need to cut a little bit. So that's what I'm doing right now. And there we go. Next, I'm going to go ahead and line up the next one, and that is how one of the hip pieces is going to look. This is going to be a template for both hip pieces, but with the Lavagirl armor, her belt is at an angle, so one hip piece is actually going to be higher than the other, and you will see that as I go on. There is little notches here. You could buy a notcher and just quickly take out the little notch areas with that instead of having to go through with the scissors like I had to. Alright, so I'm going to continue doing that until all of them are open, because you're going to need to trace through those. Now I'm using a silver Sharpie to trace through all of the pieces. I'm doing them right side up first, and this is going to be for one of the sides of your armor, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip them over afterwards to go ahead and do the other side. But right now I'm just doing one side and I'm cutting it. Make sure you cut in the inside of the Sharpie piece, and then keep your little tabs as well. Do not cut those on the foam. Those are just to make sure that you can stick the EVA foam together. So once all three pieces are cut out with your scalpel there, you're gonna go ahead and put them together using the little tabs. You're gonna go ahead and use contact cement. Remember, you do need to let it get a little tacky. Sometimes I just start by putting it together so it gets on both sides, but it does take a while because it needs to get tacky. This part is going to take a lot of patience, so it's okay if your pieces don't stick together immediately. It is all depending on how fast it takes for your glue to get tacky. Remember, all of the products I use will be listed below in the description, and as you can see, on the back, they actually glued together, but not all the way on the front. I tried my best to glue them together, and then I went ahead and used some quick seal to completely seal any areas that I couldn't close. But quick seal is something that you want to use on top of your contact cement glue, just in case, to triple seal it. You're going to go ahead and spread it out. I actually used a little piece of EVA foam to spread it out, and I'm doing it on the front and the back just so we can make sure that the EVA foam pieces are securely together. I just continued to spread out that quick seal with the little EVA foam scrap piece that I had. Like I said, this can literally be just a little piece of scrap. I cut it in a triangle shape so it has more of an easier way to spread. I then went ahead and sanded it, and I continued sanding until it was completely flat. Please be aware that if you sand a little bit too much, you might actually get some quick seal out of the creases, and you might have to reapply and then sand again. Quick seal also needs to be dried, so you're going to need to let it dry. Afterwards, you're going to go ahead and flip over your pieces of paper that you had as patterns, and then you're going to go ahead and use the mirror side, is what they call it. And you're going to go ahead and do that with every single one, then cut them out just as you did with the other ones. As you can see, we aren't resizing these yet. We're going to go ahead and cut out the pieces just as normal, because we're actually going to want to try on the piece before we even cut. So I believe this is going to be the side that isn't cut. So I am just going to go ahead and cut through these, and the other one is the one that I'm going to resize. So while I am waiting, I'm actually just, because it had to dry a little bit more, I'm sanding the previous one a little bit more down, And this is mainly because the quick seal, like I said, needs to dry, and I did have to reapply in some areas, so I had to re-sand. I sanded both in the inside and the outside. Be aware that the inside won't be shown, but I still sanded it just in case. And this was the one that I actually ended up cutting, which is the left hip armor, and I actually went ahead and just did the lines by above all 3 pieces because I still wanted them to have the shape. Then I continued onto the right side. The right side I went ahead and did the same process. I glued the pieces with contact cement and just followed the little markers that were there. This did take a lot of patience, so I did not include the entire video because it was just me holding the EVA for a while. And I did the same with the other piece, just put some contact cement. Remember, you could stick both sides, just get glue on both sides by sticking them, and then over time it'll get tacky. So it is going to take a lot of patience of just holding and sitting and holding and sitting, but you will eventually get it sealed. And you could apply even more, but remember, you're going to wait for it to get tacky again, and then you'll continue sealing it. So afterwards I went ahead and applied quick seal as well, but there was a little hole on my EVA foam for some reason, so I went ahead and quick sealed that as well. So if your EVA did have any imperfections, quick seal can be used to go ahead and cover those up. And I just spread it out with my little EVA foam scrap piece again. I went ahead and just cut it down a little bit more so I didn't have the dried quick seal from before, and I spread that all the way around on the front and the back. And like I said, this is going to be the right side, right hip. The cut one is the left side, left hip, and I would save any scrapped EVA foam pieces in case you ever need them in the future, especially with this cosplay because you will need them. Now we're going back to the cut section, and I'm actually going to go ahead and add markers where I'm going to be using a Dremel for the lava. So as you can see, I'm using a silver Sharpie, but you can use a white color pencil. And I'm also going on the back of the previous one. I went a lot of back and forth with this one, and I'm using quick seal to go ahead and just seal that back portion now that the front was dry. So that's why I continued and started doing the lava on the other one. So you pretty much work on multiple things at once because you do have to wait for the quick seal to dry. After that dried, I went ahead and sanded it as well with the medium bar that I was talking about, and I even sanded the little piece in the front that had the little hole. I sanded both the front and the back, but the back I did have to wait a little bit because if not, the quick seal is going to get on your sandy bar and it's not really going to sand, it's just going to show. The same thing I did with the left side, I went and did with the right side. I looked at the reference pictures to add the lava, and I went ahead and drew. Then I got my Dremel and set it at a speed of 2. First I did this sharper tip just so I can do the edging. Make sure to be very careful when using the Dremel. I set it to the lowest setting of 2 because I did not want to accidentally Dremel through my 5mm piece of EVA foam. It can go through really easily, so be very gentle with it. And like I said, this is only for like the lines. This was my first piece, so you can see like I'm doing a little bit more than I should have, but I eventually do end up changing the tip, and it actually works a lot better. So pretty much just use it to outline it, and then afterwards you're going to go ahead and change the tip as you can see here coming up. Alright, so now that one is done, and I am cleaning up with a vacuum. Try cleaning up the EVA foam pieces as you go, that's what I recommend. And then I moved on to my next piece and did the same thing, just used it as an outline this time, and tried not to go too deep. Afterwards I changed the tip, as you can see, and it's just going to be like a regular circular Dremel tip. It's going to be one of the smaller ones, and I made sure it was the size of the openings there of the lava, and I went through on the sides there very gently and went all the way through. When managing the Dremel, be very careful and make sure you're holding it for dear life because it can go at any moment. This was my first time ever using a Dremel, and I noticed that there was times where it just kind of wanted to do its own thing, so be very, very careful and very gentle. As you can see, I'm like slowly feeling through in the areas that I dremeled through, just to make sure that there is still enough EVA foam for me to continue dremeling. If you don't feel enough EVA foam, do not continue dremeling in that area and just move on to the other section. So as you can see, I kind of did like a little round. There we go. So try to do it there, side, 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 all the way down, kind of like you're building a little river. And as I said, clean as you go. So you'll see me cleaning quite a bit. So I am dremeling through at an angle, and then eventually sometimes I do have to go towards the lava. But also, if you're worried about the texture, this texture is actually giving it a lava shape, so it works 100%. From here, you're just going to go ahead and start dremeling the other, just like you did with the other one, and just make sure you're feeling throughout that you have EVA foam. But besides that, after all of this, you're going to clean up your area, clean up your EVA foam, and then stay tuned for part 2, which is where we're going to actually do the plasti dip and start painting it. Don't forget to follow all my social media to see the last final pictures, and yeah, follow my Instagram and Twitch and all that. See ya. Thanks so much for watching, y'all.